everyone, welcome to Nasha's Art. This is a fun project you can do when you've been given flowers that have been beautiful and enjoyed by everybody. Here's my cat loving my flowers. But of course, as all cut flowers do, they eventually fade. And instead of throwing them away, you can reuse them. You pluck all the heads off and collect them together, and once you've collected those petals, you can place them in a book. A heavy book is best. It doesn't matter if they are slightly wrinkled in the book, but try and place them as flat as you can. And you can fill several different pages of the book with or petals or leaves, and you leave them for about a couple of weeks to dry. After about 2 weeks, I went back into those heavy books and I fetched my petals out and I collected them and sorted them into different piles. And now the fun begins. So because all my rose petals are just the one red colour, I thought I'd experiment a little bit with some acrylic paint on them to add a bit of variety. So I explored an experiment with colours I liked and I came up with this design. So I will now show you how I do that and share any little tips and tricks that I've discovered along the way. So the first thing to note is that you can actually cut the petals if there are areas that you don't like the shape of. So you do have to have a steady hand and they are very fragile. It's like cutting the thinnest paper. But if you're careful and steady, you can actually cut them to the shape that you like. See already that looks a bit neater. And there we are. Already that looks a lot better. So that's the first tip to share. The second thing to note is that the acrylic paints you use, you would think that maybe you can't actually mix water in because these are dried. Not true. You can mix as much water as you need to in the paints to get the right consistency. And apart from that, you can just enjoy painting. So I'm going to show you that next. Painting the petals is very simple, but you just have to be careful when you pick them up that you don't crunch the petals and damage them. Once I painted them, I put my designs together in different ways, experimenting with a round and a square background to see what sort of shapes and designs I liked. Once I decided on my design, the next step was to glue the main sections of petals down. So I moved the petal, put some glue on, and then replaced it in the same place, working from the outside inwards. It was quite important to look at the negative space or the black shapes in between the petals to make sure that I was placing them back in the right place and getting the patterns in the black background that I wanted. Glued all the main components down, and now I'm choosing the right size sort of smallish petals and I'm tucking them under to fill up any spaces that I think need a bit more. So you can see I'm sort of tucking them in, and I'll add the glue later, but I just want to get them in now so that I can complete the design. So I've been busy filling out all the little gaps with petals, tucking them under. I haven't glued them yet. I've got one more petal to go, which goes in this place here. So carefully, I'm going to slip that under, and there we are. The next step is to glue them down, so I'll show you very briefly how I do that. I use something pointy. You could use a toothpick, a kebab stick perhaps, and I
twist the tip of the stick in the glue so that it picks up a bit of glue from the glue stick, a bit like that. Then carefully, sometimes using a brush is better, I lift up the area that I want to add the glue and I place the kebab stick or whatever it is that I'm picking up the glue with, and I'm twisting that glue off. You can see the glue's there. I'm going to tuck that gently back in, making sure it's in the right place, and then I can gently press down. So the next step is to go around gluing everything down.
If you've enjoyed this tutorial and it's given you some great ideas, please do like and subscribe. Your support is so appreciated. Also, you can find me on Insta at Nash Henkel Art.